Good afternoon and welcome to our very first webinar, Helping My Children with Home Learning. It's possible. And today I'm so excited because we have our very, an illustrious friend of mine. I was scrolling down on Facebook, and she's my Facebook friend, and I saw that she had set up a schedule for her students to be ready for learning, and she had Rona Academy, where learning is contagious. And she had the schedule, the setup of her room, and I thought, wow, this is what parents need to help get ready for this week. We're going to start learning and to be ready. And so I reached out to her, and she was so grateful. I was so grateful for her to say yes to do the first presentation, because we have to lay a good foundation for our students to get ready to learn at home. And so without further ado, I want to introduce to you Monica McPherson. She is the illustrious reading coach at Folsom Elementary School. She's been a reading coach for 10 years. That's right. And so with that, I'm going to let her give you the tips you need for survival. So take it away, Monica.
Thank you, Angela. And again, thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, parents, for tuning in. I'm so excited to share with you today how I created a learning environment for my children. So I'm going to share my screen with you now so you can see the presentation. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So it's called Setting the Stage for Success. So first of all, these will be our goals for today. Ms. Fullwood already did like an introduction. I'll tell you a little bit about me and my family. Then we'll talk about some learning essentials. There's 3 learning essentials to create an environment conducive to learning for your kids. And then we'll have some tips and tidbits, some quick tips, and then we'll have a time for a question and answers. So I've coined myself the parenter because I am a parent and I'm also a teacher. And so trying to blend the two of I'm working from home because I'm a teacher, and how can I work from home and support my students on this new adventure, right? So I have almost 2 sets of kids. I have a high schooler, 2 high schoolers actually. One is in 10th grade, one is in the 12th grade. I have a son who is in 3rd grade and another son who's in 1st grade. So I have my 2 elementary, my 2 high schoolers, right? And so I'm like, how can I, as a parent, support my elementary kids and my high schoolers? In my ideal world before all of this started, I was like, I can do this. My high schoolers can help the elementary kids, and I can still support and help my teachers. Perfect. Well, Monday was a reality check. I was like, oh my gosh, because everybody's asking me questions. I was really hesitant with like my high schoolers because one of my daughters has trigonometry, economics, like all of these classes. And I'm like, I feel comfortable helping my elementary, but what am I going to do to make sure that my high schoolers are successful? And when they come and ask me a question, math is not my thing. I am a reading coach. So I was like, I need to do something, have something in place so that I can help all of them. So this is me sharing my personal experience with you. More so as a parent of how to create a learning environment for your kids at home. Something that keeps me grounded is strive for progress, not perfection. So that helps me that every day I just want to be better than the day before. So I'll show you my schedule on another slide, and you'll see that every day I have time for reflection. And my kids sit down and they reflect on their day and how they can get better. And I do the same thing. How can I better support them? And I'll show you that in a minute. So with our first point, to creating a learning environment, we're going to focus on the 3 learning essentials. These things are key to make sure that learning is taking place every day. One is eliminate distractors. So making sure that this is their home, they're not used to having school at home. So I have to make sure that I create that environment for them and eliminate distractors like the television. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But number 2 is having all of their resources in one spot so they don't have to be walking around trying to find things, pencils, pens, paper. So having everything in one spot. And number 3 is helping them manage their time, setting routines and procedures in place to help them be successful. So those are our 3 learning essentials. We're going to talk about each one of them more in depth, okay? So with the first one, eliminate distractors. So here you'll see, I apologize. Here you'll see I have a picture of my learning environment, right? So this is basically my dining room. This is an area that's set apart from the living room where there's the TV, where they spend most of their time socializing and interacting. So it's set apart. But I also have nieces and nephews who live around the corner and they're used to coming to my house, hanging out and socializing. So I have to set the expectation that in this space for right now, this is our learning space and we're only going to use this space in this dining room as our school space. So setting that expectation, even when my nieces and nephews come over, go in the living room, but when in this space, this is our school space. The other point is have one or more designated areas, right? So even if you don't have a dining room or a place where you can set them apart, it doesn't have to take all of that, right? You could have just a table where in your front room, you can have a special chair that when your kid is sitting in this chair, you're in the learning zone, right? You could have a special pillow. It could be a corner in your house. I know my first grader, he loves to be secluded in like a little corner in tight little nooks. So even if you just have a corner and you put a pillow over there and this is your learning zone. So making sure that it is a place that eliminates distractors. So during the time that they're working, I make sure that I have the TV off wherever they are. So sometimes they don't want to come in the dining room, which is fine. But if they go into another area of the house, they need to make sure that the TV isn't on, their other siblings aren't. If they're taking a break, they aren't on technology playing a game or something like that. Everyone is pretty much on the same page. Or if my first grader, he takes more breaks than everyone else. So if he's on a break, I make sure that I make him go in the living room and he may be on technology playing a game while my third grader is still in learning mode. So just keeping them separated if one is on a break. Number 2 is having a central location for all of the resources that they'll need. So the picture to your right, you'll see that I have a little rolling cart. You don't have to have a rolling cart and all of this extra stuff. I also tutor, so that's why I had some of these things already in place. But what you can have is something simple. I know you have like an extra basket or extra storage bin, something, even a box. You have something that you can have the kids to put all of their materials in there, right? So you see the picture on the left, there's just a basket and it's in that central area. Wherever your learning zone is, you have that basket right there. So they may have a pencil bag or something where they are a Ziploc bag where they have their pencils, pens, markers, crayons, scissors, your regular school supplies that you would typically buy, right? So have those things there. Most elementary teachers are asking for kids to have notebooks, right? So their notebooks are in there. I know my child's teacher sent home their Ready Laughs book. So that Ready Laughs book is inside of their basket. For their notebooks, my primary son has just like a little composition book. He's in first grade. So if you have any babies that are in like kindergarten, first grade, and they're just learning how to write, I make sure that he has where the spaces, the lines are bigger, those fat lines, because they're learning how to write. But he has a composition book. I think I got this from the Dollar General for $1. But I know teachers, if you go to the school sites, I know that the principals, APs are at most school sites, and they'll give you school supplies. So no biggie. For my third grader, he has just a regular spiral notebook. And here's where he collects all his work. So all of these things are inside of their basket, so they don't have to go and search for anything. Another thing is, if you have more than one child and they're in the same space, I would say invest in some headphones, because a lot of the programs that the teachers are asking kids to get on, they are actually reading or speaking to the kids. And so that can just be another way to eliminate distractors, like get a pair of headphones. I know they do have them at the Dollar Tree, but like I just went on Amazon and ordered just a little earbuds, and there was a 4-pack. I have 4 kids. It was a 4-pack for $9.99. So I did that. But you can also reach out to your child's teacher, and I know the school may even have some headphones that you can borrow. Okay, so that just eliminate distractors, so you don't have all of those different computers going off at the same time. Okay. And then our third essential is the use of some type of schedule or routine to help them manage their time. So we know that even as adults, if we don't put ourselves on some type of schedule or routine, that we'll mismanage our time, and you'll look up and the day has gotten away from you, right? So kids are no different. They need to feel they've had routines and schedules at school, so having that in place will kind of bring that sense of normalcy for them, and that's what we need to do for our babies right now. So I'm going to caution you, if you use a schedule, to be flexible. So I'll share with you a personal experience. Before, when we were on spring break, I was trying to get set up and ready. So I made the schedule. I have a separate schedule for my primary kids, my elementary kids, and I have another schedule for my high school kids. And I got my high school schedule from their actual school. I think one of my daughter's schools sent out a sample schedule, and I just put it on large paper. But you can definitely handwrite it in a notebook, and just make sure that they have that. You can actually put it on the first page of their notebook, so you don't have to have a big schedule on the wall. That's just how I chose to do that. But with me, I started this schedule before doing spring break, right? So I put it up, and I've learned that my schedule starts at 8 o'clock. If my kids aren't up at 8 o'clock, I'm not waking them up at 8 o'clock, but I kind of follow this same activities that they're doing. So if they get up at 10 o'clock, it's okay. That's 2 hours off of my schedule. But what does the schedule say is the first thing you're doing? And the first thing is they get up, they get breakfast, they have an hour to check their EDSB to make sure that they know what they're doing, and they have a plan for the day. Me personally, I have my kids have some quiet time in there. So if you have them, whatever you choose to do, for me and my family, they do a devotional, but you could do where they just meditate, or they just sit quiet and create a plan of what they're going to accomplish that day, right? Also, I want to make sure that the message is out, that the expectation is that your kids are not sitting on a computer all day. It is not like a regular school day, right? So with my elementary kids, we recommend that throughout the day, it's a total of 1 to 2 hours a day, right? For high schoolers, 3 to 4 hours a day. And that doesn't have to be them just sitting for, 3 or 4 hours in one sitting. Like my kids, they have in their schedules, they have a break, they have exercise. So it's not just like a regular school day, okay? I personally like what I felt like helped them a lot was to have a checklist, and I'll show you what I have for them in a few minutes. But the checklist is pretty much of them saying what they have to accomplish for that day, and that's just easy for them to do. For my elementary kids, it's reading, writing, and math. Those 3 things. Did you do those things today? And my high schoolers, I kind of sat them down and asked them, what is your schedule in school? What classes do you have? So I keep with those basic reading, writing, and math. And I say, okay, what reading class do you have? What can we put? You may not have a reading class, but what can we put in the place of reading? What math class you have? So instead of them saying math on their schedule, my one daughter has trigonometry and the other one has geometry. So they know at this time you're doing geometry or trigonometry for my other daughter. I hope that part makes sense. And last but not least, tips and tidbits. So things that I have picked up along the way this first week, right? So shorter increments of work time than traditional school. So I know elementary kids, most of them start school at 7:10, as early as 7:10 to 1:55. I'm not expecting my kids to work from 7:10 to 1:55 or even the same amount of hours. Like I said before, if you have babies that are in elementary school, you want them to be working on a computer no more than 2 hours a day. And it doesn't have to be sitting at the computer consecutively for 2 hours. No, like my kids, he may do something for 15 minutes, get up, take a break, come back and do something else for another 15 minutes, and he can go and take a break. As long as he has reading, writing, and math done by the end of the day, okay? The other thing is, don't give kids busy work. So even if you have a schedule, you'll see that on my schedule, I have reading, I give them an hour. It does not take them an hour to complete that assignment, right? But they have that hour of time. But if they are done in 20 minutes, they're done. I don't make them go and do anything else. When you're done, you're done. So don't just give them some busy work or say, get on a reading program. Nope, you've had your time, you finished it, and that's okay. Check your child's ESB for upcoming assignments. So I have that one in red because the first day of e-learning or learning at home, I didn't do that Sunday night. And so I was trying to figure out on Monday morning what everyone was doing. And for me, I could not manage doing that, helping my kids and trying to be accessible for my job and for my teachers. So what I started doing is I started looking at their ESB the night before, just my elementary kids, right? Because middle school and high school kids have been using ESB since middle school, right? And so, or since the beginning of the year for middle schoolers, they are so familiar with ESB. A lot of them can even type their essays and reports right on their phone. I don't know how, but they have managed to do that. So I kind of let my middle schoolers and high schoolers manage themselves. I basically just check in with them first thing in the morning and say, do you have a plan? What is your plan? What are you doing first? What are you doing next? What are you doing last? And so after that, they're kind of like on their own. I check in with them at the end of the day and say, did you accomplish your goal? But that's for my high schoolers. But for my elementary kids, I have to go on their Edsby and I use their username and password because I want to see what does it look like to them. So I go on their Edsby and I look and see what they have to do for that next day. And so that way, if I'm on a call with a teacher or I'm in a meeting or I'm working on something, if they ask me a question, I already have kind of like in my mind what they have to do for that day. So I can help them really quick and continue to do my job with the spirit of excellence. Okay, but I'll show you some examples of things that I use to kind of help me get through that. The other one is set realistic expectations. Set realistic expectations for yourself and for your learners. So again, going back to that quote, my day, every day is, did I make progress? Did I get a little bit better than I was the day before? And I'm okay with that. And I set realistic expectations for my kids, right? So if I have this schedule, and if it says they're doing reading from 8 to 9, but my first grader, he seems really antsy, he didn't finish his assignment, I get up, take a walk outside, it's okay, and then come back and you can finish your work, right? The other thing is reach out to your child's teacher if you need support. Teachers are there for you. Send them a text message, a SB message. If there's anything that I need support with, I reach out to my child's teacher. A lot of times, like I tell you, I'll look at their SB page the night before. So first thing in the morning, if I'm unclear about something, I'm sending their teacher a text. It's like, oh, I couldn't find this book. Can you tell me or help me or support me in that area? So anything that I need help with, I reach out to my child's teacher. For my high schoolers, I know I cannot help my daughter with trigonometry. I just know I can't. I know I can't help my other daughter with geometry because math is not my thing at all. So in their schedule, I think for my high schoolers is 2 to 2:30. I put in time for them to send messages to their teachers. So if they know that if they have any question, if they need help, they have that time at the end of the day where they need to be sending messages to their teacher. And so when I finish working, I'll, just like I would do if we were in regular school, when I come home, how was your day? I say, did you have to email any of your teachers for help? Okay, and so the next morning I'll check with them. Did your teacher respond back to your email? Are you good? You understand what you're supposed to do for today? Perfect. And we move forward. So just reaching out to your child's teacher if you have any questions or concerns. And your middle school and high schoolers, they know how to do that. Okay, so with this slide, I'm just sharing with you again from my personal experience, my lifesavers. So like I told you before, that Monday, I thought I was ready. I was like, I got my area, I have my schedule, like all of my kids have their devices, my headphones came in for Eds from Amazon, I'm ready to go. And then I had to be on calls pretty much all day planning with teachers. And maybe 30 minutes in, my first grader was, Mommy, I don't know what to do. My third grader, Mommy, where do I find this? And I was like, oh my gosh, like how can I balance this working and helping my kids? So during my reflection time that day, I thought about it. I was like, that's how I decided to look at their SB the night before. And basically what I do for them the night before is I will go on their Edsby using their username and password, and I basically write for them whatever questions their teacher has for them. I write it in their notebook so that they know what they're supposed to do on each page or for each assignment. I also make these cards for them, right? So on index cards, it's just step by step. I just got this right off of their Edsby. Their teachers write it in their journal for elementary kids. So I basically wrote step by step where they need to do. Number 1, go to Pearson, Realize on Clever. Number 2, complete lesson 11-3 and 11-4. So my first grader knows what to do. Now, because I have 4 kids, 2 high schoolers, 2 elementary, I assign each sister a brother, and I give the sisters get this card so that they can also help them really quick. And so that they have a step-by-step of what they should be doing for every subject area. So I have one for math, one for reading, one for science. And then I know for reading, the teachers are asking most of the kids to read a text on Mayan, and they have to answer the questions. So what I do for my son is I actually write out his questions in his notebook. And then it's easier for me because all I have to do is have one of my older girls take a picture of this and upload it to their Edsby, and that counts for them completing their work for the day. So those were my lifesavers, to have those index cards and to write out in their notebooks the questions that they have. And then at the end of the day, right before I start looking at Edsby for their assignment for the next day, I just double check and make sure they submitted everything. And that's pretty much like how I'm surviving right now. So at this time, we're going to take any questions that you have. I hope that was helpful to you. I know that was a lot, but there's 3 steps that you should do to create that learning environment. So just focus on those things, and just remember, it is not about perfection, it's progress.
Thank you so much, Monica. That was amazing. And, you had so many great points that you made, and made it very simple for parents, because during this time, I know like a lot of parents are very nervous about working with their students. They're thinking that they're having to be the teacher. We want to reiterate that you are not the child's teacher. The child's teacher is still the child's teacher.
Yes.
You are a support. You're a partner in education. And so all you're doing is there is work that you have to do, but not a lot. If you have questions, just like Monica reiterated in the video, please reach out to the teacher. And she used a lot of simple guidance. She does a lot of paper. She uses a lot of paper. And so it's not all about technology and you not being or feeling like, oh, the technology is getting to me. Just know our students are very versed in technology. So they know how to do a lot of the uploading and things like that, because they were born in this time where that's all they know. We're, as adults, we struggle, but just know our kids know how to do that. Like she was saying, taking a picture of the assignment and uploading it. Those are things that our babies can do that. And so I thank you, Monica, for those tidbits. So we're going to go to questions. I want you all to ask questions in the chat room. Just hover over the bottom and you'll see that chat, and start asking your questions. We're going to get to them now. All right. Monica, the question is, they said the apps are not working. Can you answer any of the questions about the apps not working? Do you have any insight on that?
So I do know on Monday they had some issues with EDSB. Um, the district is aware of that and they are working to fix that issue. But if for some reason the technology isn't working, send a message to your child's teacher, a text, call them, call the school. The teacher is the first person to contact, right? Reach out to that child's teacher. And a lot of times I know the teachers will say, oh, just send me a picture, or they'll walk you through or tell you right over the phone what the kid has to do for that day and tell you just to send them a picture on their phone.
Okay. Thank you for that. And I think we do have a technology hotline that's on our website at www.sdhc.k12.fl.us, or just type in your search engine Hillsborough County Schools, and I believe there is some information about the technology hotline. But I feel like reaching out to the child's teacher is going to be the best solution for that.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. They want to see your elementary schedule again and your schedule for science.
Okay, so my elementary schedule, and I'm just going to see if I can get out of presenters mode so I can make the picture bigger for you so that you can actually see the schedule.
All right, so while she's pulling that up, parents, if you want to get your cameras ready and take a picture of it with your cell phone. And then I think someone had wanted to know the schedule for science.
So for science, they do science first. And I did science first because one, they're just kind of waking up. Science for my elementary kids, science has been a lot of hands-on things. And I'm really busy at that time with meeting with my teachers, but my husband is also here working. So a lot of times he can do that stuff with them. So I just do science from 9 to 9:40. They have that time to go and do whatever they need to do for science.
Okay. So I can see her kids have breakfast from 8 to 9, science from 9 to 9:40. Looks like is that 20 minutes for exercising? What does that entail?
So they could, it's totally up to them. If they want to watch a video on YouTube, like they have like little exercise videos on YouTube. One of my child's teachers, she actually uploaded some brain breaks. So if they want to do that, or if they just want to go outside and use sidewalk chalk or race outside in like just in the the front yard, or if they just want to play in the house, they're doing something where they are up and moving. Okay. So I really don't say exactly what they have to do. That's kind of like up to them. The only requirement is that you are up and you are moving.
Okay. And then I see you have writing / iReady from 10 to 10:40. What is that, like you do 2 days writing, 2 days iReady, or how does that work?
Yep. So for elementary kids, they have to get on iReady. I know for a minimum of 45 minutes a week is the goal, no more than 60. So I'll have them basically do iReady for 2 days, right? 2 30-minute sessions. So they can do that whatever day they want to, but they just know that's the time when they can actually do their iReady reading lesson, because they have to have that 45 minutes for reading and 45 minutes for math. So if they have their 45 to 60 minutes for reading, then you know that you could do your math.
Yeah, and the beauty about iReady is a lesson in itself. So it's like computer-based learning. So it's a lesson, and then they have like a short quiz that they do right after. I love iReady.
Yes.
All right. So then I see you give them a snack, and then reading. for an hour. Is there a reason why you have reading a little bit longer than some of the other subject areas?
Yes, so like and from just being a reading coach and getting direction from my supervisor, they were saying that that is the max, right? An hour of time should be taking them, whatever assignment the teachers are giving them in reading, it should be no longer than an hour. So normally they have where they read a passage on Mayan, and then they have to answer some questions, and then they'll have to do some independent reading for 30 minutes. And so that's their hour. A lot of times it doesn't even take an hour for them to do it though.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the next. Oh, and I see you have math 1 hour and then that reflection in the afternoon. Now, what I know you talked about the reflection in your presentation. And you've been able to do the reflection for a couple of days now. What are some of the things that your kids are writing in the reflection that's acceptable to you?
So they don't necessarily have to write. That's a lot of times we talk about it, right? So even though it's on the schedule, if I'm not done for that day, it could be sometimes their reflection is at bedtime, where sometimes I make them write it if like I know it's going to be later for me to get a chance to talk to them. They write it in their notebook, like, what is one thing you learned today? What could we do better tomorrow? A lot of times, like, I'll ask my high schoolers about what did they do, what were they proud of, the thing that they accomplished today, how were they able to manage like helping their brothers at the same time. I know the first couple of days, like I asked them, did they feel the notebook was helpful? Did they think the index cards was helpful? Like, what was the most helpful thing, and how could I make it easier for them? So pretty much just talking to them and just getting them to reflect on what they did for the day. If you have them write in their notebook, they can tell you one thing they learned today or something they're proud of that they did today. What
Yeah.
was their favorite part of the day? Any of those kind of questions.
All right, perfect. I have another question here. It says, how can I find grade appropriate books on Mayan?
Okay, so with Mayan, and this is a new feature. I actually learned this week. Mayan, they have a new feature where, like, I think no more than every 2 weeks, the kids at the top of their Mayan, they take a little short test, and it kind of places them on what level, a range of text that those kids that's appropriate for them in Mayan. So like if it's on their Mayan page, you know that it's appropriate for them. A lot of times too, they have it to where teachers can assign text for them. So you can reach out to your child's teacher and ask them to assign some text for your child so that you know whatever they're reading is interesting to them and it's appropriate for them. But Mayan has some features in there to make sure that it's grade appropriate text.
All right, that's very helpful. And on next Tuesday, April 7th, we are going to have Melissa Alonzo on. She is the supervisor for our reading coaches and talking about literacy in the home. And so she'll probably be able to answer any more questions. So parents, come with your questions about any reading questions that you have to help you set up a very great learning environment for in the specific area of reading. All right, so the next question, it says, oh, this is another question. I believe it has to do with technology. If we completed an assignment for math and it would not upload, what should we do?
So that actually happened to me as well. I reached out to my child's teacher and said, I know Josiah completed this lesson. My daughter watched him do the lesson, but it did not upload. She was had grace, and she said, no worries. Whatever you had him write in his notebook, to send me a picture. So again, reach out to your child's teacher. And we've been told to just have grace because this is new for all of us.
Very good. That's good to know, because we don't want everybody to feel nervous and anxious about their children getting zeros because of technology.
All right.
All right. So, they wanted to know if this week was graded, or were there some flexibility until some of the kinks were worked out?
Yes, like I said before, it's all about teachers have been told on many platforms. I know I've taken a lot of district trainings this week, and in almost every training I've had this week, it has been about having grace. If kids aren't turning in things, teachers should be calling and checking and saying, is there something that they can do to support the child in getting the assignment? So as far as grading, I know that teachers are using grace, and we really, they should be submitting, at least I know elementary, even though they're doing the work in their notebook, teachers are really grading or giving feedback on one of the questions that they are asking them. So you can just easily send the picture to the teacher.
Okay, that's good to know. The next question is, how do you go scheduling a time for specials? Do we need to focus on core areas only?
Okay, so with specials, so like for
I guess this would be an elementary, art, music, and PE.
yes, so with music and PE on a typical week, they have music and PE, they're required to have it for 60 minutes. And so I can tell you the message that has been sent is that just like with the teachers, this is not a traditional school. So if they're having the kids do anything, it shouldn't take them longer than 20 minutes because they're cutting their time in half and then cut it some more, right? So they are really only giving them one assignment a week, and they have any time within that week to get it done. So I think like with my babies, they had to read a book on Mayan. It read it to them, and then they had to answer one question. And so it literally took them about 10 minutes to do that. And with those, like for their music and art and PE classes, I use, if they go outside, that is their exercise, and that's their PE for that day. I think most of the PE teachers aren't really assigning work. It's just for them to like get moving and exercising. They may like upload a video or something for the kids, but like with music and art, it takes my kids about 10 or 15 minutes, and it just depends. I just know I have that grace to that they can do it anytime in that week. It's self-paced, right? So
Yeah, and I
whenever.
feel like that pertains to elementary. I believe middle and high school, they're electives. So just so you know, parents, they're called specials in elementary, but they're electives in middle and high school. It's that course that your child chose to be in. In high school, hope is PE, but it's for graduation. So I know in high school there are probably some assignments that they have to do, but my daughter's a PE coach at Freedom, and she gives one assignment a week, I believe, and so they have the whole week to complete that assignment, because it is a course for
Mhm.
high school, so it's a little different in elementary. All right, so let's go to the next question. It says, this is a good question. How do you suggest we create a schedule for students who have Zooms on specific days and have assignments that will last longer than, say, 30 to 40 minutes and tests due on the end of the week?
So I know a lot of teachers are using Zoom, just a way to connect with the kids because they miss their friends, they miss their teacher. So trying to just build that community and making the kids feel safe, but build your schedule around that Zoom. Like my third grader, he has a Zoom for his reading class every day at 1 o'clock. So they know that basically that's why I was saying with the checklist, those times, I really don't stick to the times. It's more of a checklist. You know, you have to have reading, math, and science every day. And I'm saying, did you do those three things? So I kind of build their day around when I know they have a Zoom. And so like even though if you look at my schedule, reading is the second thing that they do for the day, he has a Zoom meeting. So I make sure he's on at 1 and I make sure he builds everything around that.
Okay, yeah, because on your schedule they had reading from looks like 11 to 12 or something like that, or
Hmm.
right after lunch or right before lunch. And so he would just substitute something else, or would you just let him, he would just substitute something else for that hour? Maybe do math first and then reading at 1?
Yes, so for them, it's just reading, math, science. When you do them, how you do them, um, in what order, it doesn't matter as long as at the end of the day, and for me, I say by the time it's time for dinner time, you should have those things done because at dinner for me, after dinner is when I'm going to check and make sure you have those three things done and you submitted them.
All right, perfect. All right, so let's see. This one is saying their kindergarten students are scheduled for Zoom meetings every day at 9. So you pretty much answered that question.
Mhm.
And this last question is, I have a set of twins in 5th grade, but I do not work from home. Can you give me some suggestions on keeping my children on task while I am at work?
So that's a good question. One, you could make it to where school doesn't start until you get home. We all know our children, right? So school can start when you get home. So they really have that time while you're at work to just be kids. It's just the reverse. You have night school or whenever you get home. Or another thing is to use the index cards, use the notebooks, and make your twins, if they're in 5th grade, they can write their own questions, they can write out their notebook, but make them do that the night before so that they have a plan of what to do while you're gone. And then really when you get home, you're just checking their notebook, you're checking their SB to see if they submitted everything. But that's, if I were you, that's what I would do. I would make them the day before, log into their SB and write out their plan and share that plan with you. And then when you get home, you make sure they completed it in their notebook and you log into their SB and make sure they submitted everything that they were supposed to submit.
Perfect. I love that idea. I love that index card, or writing out the 3 assignments or 3 tasks that your kids is gonna get done, and then you're able to check it. So I don't even have to be present, because although you're at the house, you're working too. Like you're
Hmm.
working in the house, and they really, really can't bother you because I know, like today, um, you have meetings back to back, and you weren't available to even do the webinar until 3 o'clock because
Hmm.
you were supporting teachers. And so, um, some jobs, they're working constantly. And so even though you're at home, you're still really at work. And so
Right.
that index card to me is the most wonderful feature of this whole thing, to make sure that focus on the 3 things and not make it too hard on the students or yourself. Because, just like we said before, the goal is not for them to be on the computer from 8 to 2 the whole time,
Hmm.
especially if a student has that time, like at 9. I know some kindergartners have Zoom meetings at 9. And we may not have more than one computer at the house. And so if you're having to share, that iReady time that kindergarten has it at 9, and maybe my second grader does iReady this day. And we just have to really, that's why it's important to get the schedule, so that that the students know what time they have access to the computer, what time they have time to upload their assignments and things like that. Have you been, do you have 4 computers?
I do have 4 computers, and I don't know. Yes, I have 4 computers, but I know, like, if you have a middle, like, because I have 2 elementary and 1 high school, I was able to get like a computer from an elementary school and from a high school, because to be realistic, 4 kids in a house sharing 1 computer, that just wasn't going to work. So we had 2 laptops already, and so I got 1 from the elementary school, and then I got 1 from for my high schoolers.
Okay,
And
good.
so that's how we make sure that everybody has technology. But I had a plan just in case I couldn't get a computer. We started with figuring out what did everybody have that was mandatory, like they had a time slot. So like you say, your kindergartner has Zoom at 9. So like you would write out who has to have the computer at a specific time. And because that's non-negotiable, right? And just make sure that no one has to have it at the same time. If they do, then I think I would reach out to the child's teacher again and say, hey, is there a way that you can change this? Because I have 1 device and both of my kids need the laptop at 9 o'clock. And I think that's just a easy fix where a teacher will be flexible and say, you may not be able to log into the Zoom, or, I can change the Zoom, or maybe they can call at a different time and have that conversation with your child over the phone.
Okay.
But that's what I would do. Sit down and make sure that the mandatory times that your kids have to be on the laptop, and kind of build a schedule around that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Monica. I really do appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your busy day to talk to parents about helping them with learning at home and setting up this great foundation. We don't know how long we'll be in this situation. We do know it'll be at least until May 1st. And so with that, you all parents, just don't worry. Reach out to the teacher. Set up a nice space. Those are the tips that she had. And really make sure that we're not overwhelming our kids, so that we're not overwhelmed. All of us are we're in this together, and always we're here for you. I want to now show you how to get to this recorded, because this is a recorded video, and to share with other families about how to get to this and other recordings that you may have, because unfortunately we're only able to take 100 parents, and there are a lot of parents online. And so if you ever miss any of these recorded sessions, or these sessions that we're having on every Tuesday, we're doing some in English and Spanish. I'm going to show you all how to get in, just in case you can't make that time because you're busy. You can always go back. And so, Monica, can I start sharing my screen? Could you come out of there? Thank you. And we're almost done here. I want to thank you all for being patient with us.
Yes.
All right, let me get to my screen.
And Angela, while you're doing that, something else that was really helpful for me this week was to connect with one other parent. So like if I can't figure out an assignment, I connected with one parent, and I would text her. I had that person as another person that can kind of be a support system. So if there's one parent that's in your child's class, And this is really more for elementary. Your high school kids, they have friends that they've connected with, and I let them use their friends also as a support for them if they don't know, what to do. But just having that one parent that you can say, hey, where did you find this text, or what did the kids have to do tomorrow? So you don't have to feel like you're carrying that load by yourself.
That's good advice. That's really good advice. You always need a support. Like you're supporting me. Like we're supporting one another. So support is always necessary. All right, so I'm gonna go to, it's just in our regular website. So here you have a lot of coronavirus updates. Remember, I was earlier in the video, a parent had a question about how, if you need technology help, you can just click on here. And they have an information hotline for everyone. They have the a just general information hotline, but the technology hotline as well. And so if you're having any technological issues with, just call that hotline, or again, reach out to your child's teacher. So you're gonna, to get to the videos, you're gonna click on families. And do you see the page, Monica? Can you see it? I wanna make sure I'm sharing it.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, great. We're gonna click on families. And then once you click on families, you scroll all the way down, all the way down, all the way down. And then right here under community information is the Title I Parent and Family Engagement page. This is our page, and we have a wealth of information for you as well. But to get to the webinars, you're gonna just click on webinars. And it's going to come up, our webinars are really on our YouTube page. So you click on the YouTube page. And there they are. I want you all to make sure you hit the subscribe button. Boom, I'm gonna hit subscribe. So now I'm subscribed, and here, the video here you see right now is going to be posted. But we also have lots of other videos, again, in English and in Spanish. Videos from the past, and if you want to go back and see any of them, you're welcome. They're always there. So again, we thank you all for being here. We thank you for your patience, and we're so excited that you were able to join us today in with the videos. And we hope you all have a pleasant, wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, Monica. You were amazing. I really do appreciate your knowledge and your gifts to our parents, to help with our students being successful through this pandemic. So thank you again for being with us.
And thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope what we shared was helpful. Parents, thank you again for tuning in. We appreciate you.
All right, with that, goodbye, everybody. Until next Tuesday.